You hit that with a lawnmower and it will destroy your blade, which is why today we're going to be showing you how to change the blade on a Husqvarna 21-inch push mower. So let's head over to the garage and get started. Hey guys, today HTK presents how to change a blade on a Husqvarna push mower 21-inch cut. Last week, mowing the yard, got a little bit too close to the fire pit and hit a brick. So, as you can see, it has bent up the blade pretty darn good. So, let me get a light, see if a light might help us. Don't know why, but it's a little bit dark today on the video, but actually it's still pretty light outside. So anyways, if you look at it, you'll see the blade is pretty bent. So not going to be mowing the yard too much here. So figured I'd take the opportunity to make a quick video, show you guys how to change the blade. I know most of you probably already know, but I'm sure there's some people out there that are, for whatever reason, haven't ever had to do it, or just learning out on their own now, whatever. But yeah, figured I'd take a minute and just show you how to do it. Let me go over a couple things first. First thing you got is when you're going to be flipping the mower over, turn it on its side, anything else that you're going to work on the bottom of it, you're going to want to make sure that you don't end up with oil either in your filter or oil in your carburetor. So a couple ways that you can look at that is if you have a mower with the paper filter, you'll want to you can turn it if you want to. You can turn it on its side to the side with the dipstick. So lay it on its side, and that'll keep any oil from going into your filter. This one here happens to be a paper filter, so if I wanted to lay it on its side, I would lay it on the dipstick side, so that way I wouldn't end up with oil into my air filter. Now there is a different kind. If you happen to have the type that has the foam filter, you want to make sure that you tilt it towards the filter. If you tilt it the other way, your carburetor and everything else is over on the other side with the foam filter. So if you tilt it the other way, you may end up with oil into your carburetor, and then that's another video some other day. I like to do is I like to just tip it back on its back. That way I don't have to remember what that scenario is and which way is the right way to prevent any problems from happening. So I always tilt it straight back, so that way I don't have to worry about it. Even doing that, let's get started. I guess I'll show you what to do. First thing you always want to do is you want to pop off your spark plug wire. Also, the reason we're doing that is we want to make sure that as we're turning that blade at the bottom on the crankshaft, we want to make sure that we don't accidentally, with all the safety features and everything else, with pulling the handle before you start it and everything else, you probably don't have to worry about that too much, but just be sure. Get your spark plug wire, get it up out of the way, get it away from the spark plug entirely, so that way there's no potential that you could possibly get any spark over there and actually start it. Second thing we're going to want to do is on our gas cap. We want to take our gas cap off, and since we are going to be tilting it, if you have any gas, if it's empty, you don't have to worry about it. But if it's not, take a plastic bag, just stick it over, take your cap off, stick the plastic bag over top of it, and then just put your gas cap back on. What that'll do is that'll keep any gas from actually falling out of your cap when you're doing it. So yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I want to get it flipped up on its back, and I'm just doing it up where I got it lifted up on the bed of my truck. I do it like this. I just get it. I don't like to bend over and work on my knees. I got bad knees, so we're going to go ahead and tilt it back, and I'm going to go ahead and secure it down. You can either do that by blocking up, putting a piece of wood underneath of it, which, if it's not real secure, and you're starting to move it and twist it and move it around, you got a potential of maybe knocking it over or something. So I always try to put it on a table, bed of the truck, whatever, and then either bungee cord it down or strap it down or something. Today I got a strap, so we're gonna go ahead and strap it down once we get it tilted back. So okay, and we got it secured. We got our plug wire off. We made sure we covered our gas cap so we didn't lose any gas when we were doing it. Now we're ready to start looking at our blade. So we got a couple different ways we can look at this. One thing we have to do is we're going to be turning to the left, and I'm sure you guys have all learned lefty loosey, righty tighty. I know it's kind of odd. Anyways, so we're going to be turning this bolt on the bottom. Mine happens to be 9/16, so we're going to be turning it to the left to take the blade off. But there's nothing really to keep this blade from spinning, so we got a couple different options we can do. A lot of people I've seen, they like to take a piece of wood they got laying around, whatever, and they'll just wedge it in there some way to keep it from being able to turn when they're trying to take that off. Me, I don't much care for doing that. I'm not real warm and fuzzy about it. So what I like to do is I like to take a pair of vice grips, and I just take a pair of vice grips and I'll put it in here, clamp it on, just to kind of keep it from being able to spin past that. So that way the vice grips will catch it pretty easy. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our wrench on here, socket, whatever you choose to use, and make sure you keep your hand away from this side, because if that spins and slips, it'll cut your fingers. Should be wearing gloves when you're doing this. I don't have mine laying handy, and I'm trying to be in a hurry so I can get this thing mowed. So make sure that we got it braced, there's nowhere it's going to go, we've got it tilted up, we've got that secured so that way it's not going to go. I always try to keep my hands on the outside of it, as well as be careful. The reason to wear gloves is so that way if your hand slips you don't bust your knuckles up, all that other good stuff. So anyways, so I'm going to take it. Oh my goodness, the baby is tight. Wow. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Okay, sometimes them babies are too tight and we need a little bit of help. So get us a little hammer here, smack on it a couple times. See if we can get that loosened up just a little bit, so that way when we go we can actually do it with our hands. And we can get it loosened up. Now mowers are different. I've seen a lot of blades that'll have a little piece over here. Sometimes they'll have guards that'll come down, that'll follow the shaft and kind of spin with everything, little plastic covers. Make sure, mine doesn't, so I can't really show you what it does otherwise, but make sure if it does, that you pay really close attention to the way, positioning, orientation, all that good stuff. So we're here, we're going to take this off. And we're going to get rid of the blade. As you can see, I don't know if you can see how bent up that is, but that brick really done a number on there. So alright, so we got our new blade here, 21 inch, should be fine. Alright, all of them, every time, they will say grass side. So what that means is you want to position it like this so that the grass is on this side. Where did my knife go? This one here has a sticker right over top of the bolt hole, so we are going to have to cut that off. So we're going to position this back the same way. Going to put that back on, tighten her back down, and hopefully be done. One thing we are going to do is we are going to check our clearance, just to make sure that we're clearing everything, make sure we don't have any problems. And that one's looks pretty darn good. This time we're going to be tightening it. We're going to be doing this. So this time we want it on the opposite side. So that way when we go to tighten it, we don't have the same thing. So if you look at that, that's going to be sliding off. So we're going to do the other method that I talked about a few minutes ago. We are going to wedge a piece of wood in there for the tightening side of it, just to make sure that we don't slip off, because that's kind of a hard thing to make sure. All right, so got it tight, got it good to go. Now while you're up in here, it's always a good idea, take a look up in here. As you can see, I blow mine off and keep mine relatively clean. After I'm done mowing, I try to spray it off. This one doesn't have one of the self cleaners that you can hook a water hose up to. Turn your water on from the outside and then turn it on and let it clean itself off. This one doesn't have it, so every time I'm done I have to turn it upside down, back side up like I do have it here, on the back, again remembering not side to side, but you have to turn it up there and hose it off so that way you get all the grass off. Grass has condensation, it's got a lot of moisture and has condensation. If you leave that on there, it'll tend to end up making your deck rust, and then you'll end up with a junky deck and a good motor still that works, but you're unable to use it for anything simply because you let it get rusted out. So it's always a good idea to clean that up. As you're doing this, if you happen to be changing your blade and you notice that it's really rusty or you hadn't done a good job at doing that, if you want to preserve it and try to keep it from going any further, or at least extend the life of it and actually try to slow down the rusting process, you can actually spray it with any kind of old spray paint or anything you got laying around. At least it'll coat it and kind of prevent it from continuing to rust as bad. I mean, it's still going to continue to rust, but it won't be as fast. So anyways, so we've got this all back on there. Take out our piece of wood. We're going to let it down, and then we're going to make sure we put our spark plug back in, make sure we take that plastic bag off of our gas cap, and we should be good to go. If you want to see more videos like this, you know the drill. Share, comment, subscribe. If I know people are actually wanting to see the content, then I'll make more videos that have to do with working on stuff around the house, cars, trucks, motorcycles, SRA, general repairs, pretty much anything that you should be able or you can do yourself with just a little bit of guidance, a little bit of support. If you like this, hit the share button, comment, subscribe.